On behalf of the Professional Baseball Strength and Conditioning Coaches Society, I'd like to welcome you to the PBSCCS Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Messina.
All right, everybody, instead of an episode today, we're just going to talk about a big accomplishment here for the podcast. This is the 5-year anniversary of the PBSCCS Podcast. It's been really awesome to be able to be the host for 5 years and to do the number of interviews that I've done and to be able to speak with the coaches that I have and just share stories and you know, just a lot of commonalities between what we're seeing in professional baseball throughout all the different coaches' journeys and all of their careers and everything like that. So I just wanted to say thank you to all the coaches that have given me their time doing all of these interviews with me. We've had individual ones, we've had group ones, we've had coaches come on multiple times to talk about different topics, strength training and conditioning and mobility, and you know, you name it, we've covered it on the podcast. And I think this podcast really does stand up with some of the best that are out there in terms of just content for training and content for athletes and specifically for baseball players. So again, I want to say thank you to all the coaches that have given me their time. Obviously, without them, these interviews can't happen and the podcast can't exist. I also want to say thank you to all of our supporters, everybody that listens in every other week when the episodes come out, everybody that reaches out with feedback or with potential ideas, or even potential guests, anybody that they want to hear talk or they think that would be a good interview for me to have on the podcast. It really means a lot to me that people are listening and that they're supporting and that they want to continue to hear more from us. You know, in year 4, we had, like I said, a bunch more of the group episodes. We had more of the individuals. We started to add some sponsors back in, and I would anticipate in year 5, we'll have more sponsors, we'll have more group episodes, we'll have more individual episodes as we have been. And then we may branch out. We may have some coaches on who, you know, work in the private settings and work with professional baseball players in the off season. It's a very important time for our players. And they put a lot of trust in these strength and conditioning coaches that they work with in the off season. And so I think it might be valuable to have them on and to discuss training. And, you know, it's a great opportunity. It's a great window of, you know, uninterrupted training, minimal baseball practice and things like that. And really be able to put a maximum amount of effort and attention to the weight room. And so I think those are going to be valuable conversations as well, even if they don't have the experience within the actual professional setting during the in-season. I still think those conversations need to be had. And so I'm looking forward to having some of those set up in year 5 as well. So again, you know, overall, we're not going to have an episode this week. I really just wanted to chat quickly about the 5-year anniversary for the podcast and to say thank you to all the listeners. Thank you to all the supporters. Thank you to all of the sponsors that we've had. Thank you to everybody with the PBSCCS. And of course, thank you to the coaches for continuing to put out great content with me. You know, this podcast only goes as far as the interviews go. So overall, you know, it's been a great 5 years. Personally, selfishly, I've been able to network and meet a ton of great people and great coaches. But overall, I think the 5 years we've really had a lot of good content and just, you know, over 100 interviews now, well over 100 interviews now. And hopefully the end is not anywhere near in sight and we can keep running this back for as long as we can and keep putting out great content. And, you know, if any of the listeners here have any recommendations or, you know, on coaches they'd like to listen to or specific topics they'd like to hear, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always open to new people and new ideas for the podcast and for interviews. So again, thank you to everybody for listening. And we'll be back with another regular episode here in 2 weeks and then when the next one comes out. And in the meantime, you know, sift through some of the old ones that we've got. There's a ton of really good information, a ton of really good content within the like I said, the 100+ interviews we've done. So thank you again to everybody listening, and we'll talk to you again on the next episode.